The city of San Francisco shimmered under the golden hues of the morning sun, its skyline standing tall against the waves of the Pacific. Ryan Carter, the 38-year-old CEO of Carter Innovations, stood in his corner office on the 42nd floor, looking down at the city he had helped shape. A decade ago, he had built his company from the ground up, transforming it into a tech empire worth billions. By every measure of success, he had it all: power, wealth, influence. Yet, as he gazed at his reflection in the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, all he saw was a man alone. A sudden buzz from the intercom pulled him from his thoughts. Claire, his ever-efficient assistant, spoke with an unfamiliar edge in her voice. "Mr. Carter, Elena Brooks is here for the operations manager position." Ryan straightened, forcing his voice to remain steady. "Send her in." He had read her resume multiple times over the past week. Harvard MBA, outstanding recommendations, a reputation for turning struggling companies into industry leaders. On paper, she was perfect. Too perfect, perhaps. The door opened silently, and then time stopped. Elena Brooks stepped into the office with the quiet confidence of a woman who knew her worth. The morning light streamed through the windows, casting a soft glow on her smooth caramel skin. Her natural curls framed her face in a way that was both elegant and effortlessly powerful. She wore a tailored cream-colored blouse, its silk fabric catching the light, paired with a pencil skirt that hinted at her unyielding determination rather than demanding attention. But it was her eyes that held him captive. Sharp, intelligent, with a depth that could pull a man under and never let him go. Ryan stood, extending his hand. "Welcome to Carter Innovations, Ms. Brooks." She moved forward, her heels soundless on the plush carpet, and took his hand. Her grip was firm yet impossibly soft, sending a current of electricity up his spine. For a second too long, neither of them let go. "Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Carter," she said, her voice smooth, rich, carrying an undercurrent of something he couldn't quite name. When they finally broke contact, Elena's cheeks carried the faintest trace of color, as if she too had felt the spark. Ryan cleared his throat, motioning for her to sit. He needed to focus. He opened her file, even though he had already memorized every detail. "Your track record is impressive. At Zenith Financial, you increased efficiency by 40% in just 1 year." Elena folded her hands in her lap, poised but unreadable. "I believe in understanding systems from the ground up. Every company has untapped potential. The key is knowing where passion meets efficiency." The words resonated with him more than they should have. He closed the folder and leaned back slightly. "And where do your passions lie, Ms. Brooks?" The question slipped out before he could stop it. It was more personal than he had intended, but he didn't regret it. She met his gaze, something flickering in those mesmerizing eyes. "In building something meaningful, Mr. Carter. In taking what is good and making it extraordinary." The air between them grew thick, charged with something neither of them dared acknowledge. Needing distance, Ryan abruptly stood and walked toward the window. "Tell me what you see, Ms. Brooks." She rose and joined him, careful to keep a respectable distance. Yet even the space between them felt too close. The sun caught the golden undertones in her skin as she glanced out over the city. "I see opportunity, a city built on ambition, on the dreams of those willing to risk everything, and from this height, I see how all the pieces connect. Just like in business, every decision, every move affects the whole." Ryan turned to her, stunned. She had just articulated his exact vision. She looked up, and for a brief, unguarded moment, their professional masks slipped. In her eyes, he saw vulnerability, a quiet, hesitant uncertainty that made her even more beautiful. She quickly looked away, but not before he caught the slight quickening of her breath. Ryan forced himself back into reality. This was business. "The position requires long hours," he said, his voice rougher than intended. "Late nights, early mornings, total dedication. I'm not afraid of hard work, Mr. Carter." Was he imagining it, or did she emphasize his name like a caress? "And your personal life?" The question was completely inappropriate, but the words were out before he could stop them. Elena hesitated for half a second before answering. "My work is my life. Then, as if realizing how it sounded, she flushed slightly. "I mean, I'm fully committed to my career. No distractions." Her words were firm, but the way she avoided his gaze made his heart race. She was nervous. This brilliant, accomplished woman who had redefined corporate efficiency was nervous, and that did something dangerous to him. "The job is yours," he said suddenly. Elena's eyes widened. "Just like that?" Ryan forced himself to remain professional. "Your resume speaks for itself, and your vision—" He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Your vision aligns with exactly what Carter Innovations needs." She straightened, her professional mask sliding back into place, but her eyes sparkled with something else. "Thank you, Mr. Carter. I won't let you down." "Ryan," he said impulsively. "Call me Ryan." Her lips parted slightly, as if tasting the sound of his name on her tongue, but then she smiled, a soft, knowing smile. "I prefer to maintain professional boundaries, Mr. Carter. At least, at first." The weight of those final words hung between them, full of unspoken implications. Ryan nodded, respecting her choice, but the thrill of possibility burned in his veins. "Claire will help you with the paperwork. You start Monday." She gave him a final glance before leaving, and as soon as the door closed behind her, Ryan released the breath he hadn't realized he was holding. For the first time in years, he felt something shift inside him. Anticipation, uncertainty, something dangerously close to hope. That night, as he sat in his penthouse, a glass of whiskey untouched beside him, he found himself staring at Elena's resume once more, not for her qualifications, but for the name that now seemed to echo in his mind. Elena Brooks. Monday suddenly felt very far away. Her perfume, a delicate mix of vanilla and jasmine, lingered in the air, teasing him with possibilities he had no business entertaining. From his window, he watched her walk toward HR, her posture confident, but her fingers clutching her portfolio a little too tightly. A small smile tugged at the corner of his lips. Monday suddenly felt very far away. Monday arrived with the promise of summer in the air. Ryan Carter had never been one to arrive at the office before dawn, but that morning he found himself 2 hours early, standing in Elena Brooks's new office. Everything was perfect: the sleek mahogany desk, the ergonomic chair, the neatly arranged welcome packet. But Ryan's eyes were drawn to the single red rose placed in the center of her desk. He had left it there, he wasn't sure why. It had started as a simple gesture, a quiet, anonymous welcome. But even now, he could picture Elena finding it, touching the petals, bringing it to her nose, maybe even smiling. The thought unsettled him. The door opened behind him, and there she was. Elena wore a deep purple dress that hugged her frame in all the right places. Her curls were pulled into an elegant updo, a few loose strands framing her striking features. In her arms was a small box of personal items: a framed degree, a crystal paperweight, a tiny potted orchid. "Mr. Carter," she said softly, her voice tinged with surprise. "I didn't expect you to be here." Ryan turned, hands in his pockets to mask his reaction. "I wanted to make sure everything was ready for you." He reached for the box, their fingers brushing, a spark, just like their first handshake. Elena pulled away quickly, a faint flush darkening her cheeks. "Thank you." She placed the orchid on her desk, her hand steady except for a slight tremor that made Ryan's chest tighten. Was she as affected as he was? Shoving the thought aside, he cleared his throat. "We have a senior staff meeting at 10. I'd like you to present your initial observations." Elena's head snapped up. "So soon? I haven't even—" "I trust your instincts." The words hung between them, heavier than they should have been. For a brief moment, she held his gaze. The air crackled. Then, with a small nod, she looked away. "I won't let you down." Ryan swallowed. "You couldn't." The morning passed in a blur of introductions, orientations, and stolen glances. From his office, Ryan watched as Elena moved through the company like she belonged there. Commanding yet graceful, precise yet warm, she charmed department heads, listened intently to concerns, and navigated power dynamics effortlessly. At the senior staff meeting, she owned the room. She stood at the front, perfectly poised, presenting strategies with a confidence that left even the most skeptical board members nodding in agreement. Ryan should have been listening to her words, but all he could focus on was the way her hands moved when she spoke, the spark of intelligence in her eyes, the way her voice wrapped around him like a melody. Their eyes met across the conference table. For a moment, the rest of the room disappeared. He saw the same awareness in her gaze, the same tension. Elena looked away first, but not before Ryan caught the slight catch in her breath. By late afternoon, they were alone in her office, reviewing departmental reports. Elena sat at her desk, fingers flying over the keyboard, her perfume, that intoxicating blend of vanilla and jasmine, wrapping around him like a drug. Ryan stood behind her, leaning over her shoulder to examine the data on her screen. "Too close. These numbers don't align," she murmured, pointing at a discrepancy. Her voice was steady, except for the slight tremor beneath it. Ryan moved in just a little closer. "Show me." Her curls brushed against his cheek, soft as silk. He heard her sharp intake of breath. He felt her freeze. "Mr. Carter." She half turned toward him, their faces inches apart. Her lips were slightly parted. Ryan felt his control slipping. The phone rang. The moment shattered. They sprang apart like guilty teenagers. Elena answered the call with admirable composure, but Ryan could see the rapid pulse beating in her throat. He forced himself to retreat to his office, closing the door behind him. His heart pounded. Through the glass walls, he watched her finish the call. She glanced in his direction and then quickly looked down at her desk. A blush stained her cheeks. Ryan exhaled heavily, raking a hand through his hair. This was dangerous. Impossible. Intoxicating. Days turned into weeks. They established a rhythm: early morning meetings, late-night strategy sessions, accidental brushes of hands in the hallway. Ryan found himself memorizing small things about her. The way she tucked a stray curl behind her ear when she was deep in thought. The way she bit her lip when reading a complex report. The way the sound of her heels on the marble floors sent his pulse racing each morning. Elena transformed the company with remarkable efficiency. But it was the small moments that tortured Ryan. The way she lingered after handing him reports. The way their hands brushed when exchanging documents. The way their eyes locked across the boardroom table, charged with something neither of them dared name. One evening, after an especially long meeting, a thunderstorm raged outside. Elena had removed her blazer, her silk blouse clinging slightly in the humidity. Ryan had loosened his tie, rolled up his sleeves, exhaustion and desire simmering beneath the surface. They stood at the whiteboard, discussing projections, but the tension was unbearable. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, Elena gasped. The marker slipped from her fingers, rolling beneath Ryan's desk. They both reached for it. Meeting on their knees in the confined space, time stopped. Elena's face was inches from his, her eyes wide, lips parted slightly. A single curl had escaped her updo, brushing against her cheek. Ryan reached out without thinking, tucked it behind her ear. His fingers grazed her skin. Elena shivered. "Ryan!" His name was a warning and a prayer. His hand hovered, the air between them crackling with something forbidden. Thunder crashed. A knock at the door sent them scrambling apart. Elena jumped to her feet, flustered, breathless. I should go," she stammered, gathering her things. "It's late." Ryan swallowed hard. "Let me call you a car." "No." The word came too quickly. She softened it with a small smile. "I need the walk to clear my head." Then she fled. Ryan stood there, body aching with the need to follow her, to pull her into his arms, to finally taste the lips that had haunted his dreams for weeks. Instead, he sat heavily in his chair, head in his hands. This couldn't continue. It had to stop. And yet, deep down, he already knew. It was only just beginning. The morning air was crisp as Elena Brooks stepped into Carter Innovations, her mind still tangled in the events of last night. The storm, Ryan's touch, the way his fingers had grazed her skin, the way her body had betrayed her with a shiver. She had barely slept, torn between desire and denial, replaying that almost kiss over and over. But today was a new day, A day to reset, to rebuild her walls. At least, that was the plan. Then Claire's voice crackled over the intercom. "Miss Brooks, there's a courier here with an urgent document for Mr. Carter. He's in a meeting. Should I have him sign it later?" "I'll take care of it." Elena welcomed the distraction. Anything to keep her mind off the CEO who haunted her thoughts. She reached for the envelope the courier handed her. Thick. Official. Her breath caught as she read the bold letters on the front. "Urgent medical recalls patient. Patrick Carter." Her heart stopped. The name, the address, this was Ryan's. Her fingers trembled as she broke the seal, her pulse hammering in her ears. She didn't mean to invade his privacy, but if it was serious, if he was keeping something from them. Her stomach dropped as she scanned the first line. Diagnosis, stage 4, pancreatic cancer. Prognosis, 6 months. The paper blurred before her eyes, the world tilted. No, this had to be wrong. She frantically flipped through the pages, searching for something, anything that would tell her this was some kind of mistake. But there was no mistake. Ryan Carter was dying. The air left her lungs in a painful, silent sob. She could barely process the words, their weight, their finality. 6 months. That was all the time they had left. A sob rose in her throat, but she pressed her fist to her lips, forcing it back. Through the glass walls of her office, she could see him, laughing at something one of the executives said, his hand casually adjusting his tie. He looked so strong, so alive. How could he be dying? How could he not tell her? Her heart twisted painfully, because suddenly, all those little moments made sense. The way he watched the sunrise like it was something precious. The way he touched her, as if memorizing the feeling. The way he left roses on her desk each morning, as if marking the time, counting down the days. She had wasted so much time denying her feelings, but there was no time left to waste. That night, Elena stood outside Ryan's penthouse, her breath shallow, her heart pounding. The black silk dress clung to her, the cool night air doing nothing to calm the fire raging in her chest. She had never been here before, had never allowed herself to cross this line. But everything was different now. She raised her hand. 3 soft knocks. A pause. Then footsteps. The door opened, and there he was. Ryan stood in the doorway, shirt unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled up, looking breathtakingly undone. His eyes widened when he saw her. "Elena?" She didn't answer. She kissed him. Ryan froze, caught off guard, but only for a second. Then his hands were on her waist, pulling her closer, his mouth answering her urgency with equal desperation. The door slammed shut behind them. They stumbled inside, lips never breaking apart, hands roaming, memorizing, claiming. She needed this. She needed to feel him, to make him understand without words. "I know, I love you, and I don't care how much time we have left." Ryan broke the kiss first, breathing hard. "Elena, what?" She silenced him with another kiss, pouring everything into it. No more running, no more waiting. Tonight she would love him like there was no tomorrow. The first light of dawn painted soft gold across Ryan Carter's penthouse, illuminating the tangled sheets and the woman lying beside him. Elena Brooks. For the first time in years, Ryan woke up with someone in his arms. And for the first time ever, it felt like home. Her head rested against his chest, her breath warm against his skin, her fingers still lightly curled over his heart. She was awake, but she wasn't looking at him. She was staring at the ceiling, her eyes shining with something unreadable, something that felt dangerously close to goodbye. Ryan's stomach tightened. "Elena," he murmured, brushing his fingers over her bare shoulder. "Talk to me." She inhaled shakily. "I need to tell you something." Ryan stiffened. The seriousness in her voice sent a chill through his veins. She sat up, clutching the sheet around her. Her next words shattered him. "I know about the cancer, Ryan." Silence. His body went completely still. "The medical report was delivered to the office. I opened it." Her voice cracked. "Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. 6 months." Ryan couldn't breathe. He sat up, gripping the sheets, his mind spinning. What the hell was she talking about? "Elena," he said slowly, "I don't have cancer." She froze, her face drained of color. "What? That report, it's not mine." Ryan exhaled, realization crashing into him. "My full name is Ryan Patrick Carter. The report must be for someone else." Elena's hands flew to her mouth. "Oh my God!" Tears filled her eyes. But now they were different. Not grief, not despair. Relief. Overwhelming, heartbreaking relief. A strangled sob escaped her throat. Ryan pulled her into his arms, holding her tight, feeling the tremors rack her body. "You thought I was dying," he whispered. "That's why you came here last night." She clutched him tighter. "Ryan," she choked. "I thought we only had 6 months. I thought I'd wasted too much time pretending I didn't." She broke off, pressing her forehead against his chest, her whole body shaking. Ryan lifted her chin, forcing her to look at him. Her eyes were wild, raw, unguarded. "Say it," he murmured. "No more running, Elena. Say it." A single tear slipped down her cheek. "I love you." Ryan's breath caught. Her voice was shaky but certain, filled with all the emotions she had tried so hard to bury. "I love you," she whispered again, her fingers digging into his skin like she was afraid he'd disappear. "I have for so long. I was so scared of what it would mean." Ryan's heart slammed against his ribs. He cupped her face, his thumb brushing away her tears. "Elena." His voice was hoarse, but fiercely sure. "I love you too." She let out a broken laugh, half sob, half joy, and Ryan crushed his lips to hers, kissing her like he should have months ago. Without hesitation, without restraint, without fear. No more professional distance, no more pretending. Only them. Only love. The world felt different when Ryan and Elena arrived at Carter Innovations together that Monday morning. There were no more barriers between them. No more stolen glances. No more pretending. Ryan rested a hand on the small of Elena's back as they stepped into the building, guiding her through the lobby. The moment didn't go unnoticed. By the time they reached the executive floor, everyone knew. The halls were suspiciously crowded, with employees pretending to work while sneaking glances at the two of them. Then, as Elena stepped into her office, she stopped short. Her desk was covered in roses. Dozens of them. She turned, eyes wide, only to find Claire grinning. "We all pitched in," Claire said. "We've been waiting for this moment for months." A warm laugh escaped Elena's lips, her heart full as she reached for one of the flowers. Ryan stepped closer, his voice low but filled with amusement. "Told you we weren't subtle." Elena turned to him, her smile radiant. "I don't care." And then, in front of everyone, she stood on her toes and kissed him. The entire floor erupted in cheers. Somewhere in the back, Claire whistled. Someone popped open a bottle of champagne. Even the usually stoic executives exchanged knowing smirks. Ryan didn't care about any of it. All he cared about was the woman in his arms. Elena pulled away, breathless, cheeks flushed, her hands still gripping his lapels. "Well," she murmured, "I guess the secret's out." Ryan grinned, pressing his forehead to hers. Let them talk. Because for once, he wasn't just the CEO of Carter Innovations. He was a man in love.